Hey there, beloved Evergreen English students. It is Mr. Hebert back again. It's the day before Thanksgiving, and I hope you're as excited about Thanksgiving as I am. Hopefully the turkey will be thawed out in time, but that's a different story. We are going to be doing Act 4, or the first 18 pages of Act 4 of Cyrano de Bergerac. And hopefully you have completed your Act 3 study guide questions first. And we had a wonderful time looking at Act 3, but there was certainly a major turning point with that because Roxanne and Christian now are officially married. And Cyrano, despite his love, or because of, depending on how you want to look at it, has helped that to become a reality. And now they are off to the war. So Act 4 takes place on the battlefield. The French are at war with the Spanish, and the cadets of Gascogne are there, of course. De Guiche is there, Carbon is there, Christian is there, and of course Cyrano is there. This takes place specifically, if you go to page 149, we are looking at sort of their campground, their base camp, if you want to talk about it, sort of the trenches at the siege of Arras, which is a town. So there's a rampart, there's towers, there's guards, there's lookouts. They are in the middle of the countryside, and they are not doing well. They are hungry, they are tired, morale is very, very low. It is near daybreak. You can imagine there's, a line, and then there's kind of no man's land, and then there's the Spanish. So at the beginning of Act 4, the cadets are kind of asleep. Again, Carbon is there, and Lebray is there, and very thin, very pale, it says. Christian is asleep with the others. He's wrapped up in his cloak. There is no sign of Cyrano at this time. So we start off at the bottom of 149, and Lebray is talking about the situation with Captain Carbon. Horrible. Why, yes, all of that. Mortius. Hey, shh, swear gently. You might wake them. Go to sleep, hush. Telling the cadets to go back to sleep. Who sleeps dines. What he means by that is they're literally starving. They don't have the food that they need. But when they're sleeping, they're maybe dreaming about food and therefore dining. I have insomnia. God, what a famine. They hear firing. Pew, pew, pew. Oh, curse that musketry. They'll wake my babies. And he says to the men, go to sleep. One of them, Diantre, again? No, only Cyrano coming home. And the heads, they've kind of raised, they go back again. And then a sentry says, halt, who goes there? Bergerac. Halt, who goes? Bergerac, idiot. Right. So Cyrano apparently goes out among the lines, and this is a routine for him. So they're, it's just Cyrano coming back home. Well, what is he going off to do? We'll find out. Thank God again. Hush. Wounded? No. They always miss me. Quite a habit by this time. Yes, go right on. Risk your life every morning before breakfast to send a letter. And Cyrano, standing over sleeping Christian there. I promised he should write every single day. The boy looks pale when he's asleep. Thin, too. Starving to death. If that poor child knew. Nonetheless, go and get some sleep. Now, now, you old bear, no growling. I am careful, you know I am. Every night when I cross the Spanish lines, I wait till they are drunk. You might bring something with you. Now, so what's happening here is Cyrano goes off every morning, risks his life to cross the lines, and all of this to save or to send a letter. And when Lebray says you might bring something with you, he's kind of saying maybe you could bring back some supplies or food since we're kind of starving over here. I have to travel light to pass through. By the way, there will be news for you today. The French will eat or die if what I saw means anything. Tell us. No, I am not sure. We shall see. So apparently Cyrano, in his travel to get across the line to send the letter, he saw something with the enemy. And when he says eat or die, it's kind of like they're either going to be victorious and have lots of spoils to enjoy, or it's going to be a complete failure. But he doesn't go into the details quite yet. Page 152. What a war when the besieger starves to death. Fine war, fine situation. We besiege Arras. The Cardinal Prince of Spain besieges us. And here we are. Someone might besiege him. A hungry joke. Ho ho! Yes, you can laugh, risking a life like yours to carry letters. Where are you going now? To write another. He goes into the tent. A little more daylight coming up. The clouds redden. We see the town of Arras on the horizon. There's a cannon shot followed by a roll of drums. Other drums beat a little bit nearer. The drums go on answering each other as they approach. Voices of officers in the distance. Those drums! Another good, nourishing sleep gone to the devil. Cadets are beginning to get up now. Now then. Oh, gosh, I'm hungry. Starving. Oh. They're not feeling well. Up with you. Not another step. Not another movement. Look at my tongue. I said this air was indigestible. My coronet for half a pound of cheese. I have no stomach for this war. I'll stay in my tent like Achilles. Yes, no bread, no fighting. Cyrano, may as well die. Come out here. You know how to talk to them. Get them laughing. Hey, what are you gnawing there? Gun wads and axle grease. Fat country this around Arras. They have to eat gun wads and axle grease. That's how starving they are. This is bad. Another one comes in. I've been out hunting. And another one enters. Went fishing in the scarp. Find anything? Any fish? Any game? Perch? Partridges? Let me look. Yes, one gudgeon, a tiny little fish. And one fat sparrow. Ah, see here, this mutiny. Cyrano, come and help. Well, so he calls out Cyrano because Cyrano knows how to talk to them. He's hoping he can kind of calm them down, get them laughing, get them not thinking about their stomachs, see if he can raise morale. Hey, you there with the long face. I have something on my mind that troubles me. And what is that? My stomach. So have I. No doubt you enjoy this. It keeps me looking young. My teeth are growing rusty. Sharpen them. My belly sounds as hollow as a drum. Oh, beat the long roll on it. My ears are ringing. Liar, a hungry belly has no ears. Oh, for a barrel of good wine. And he offers his own helmet. Your cask. I'll swallow anything. So he throws him a book that he has in his hand. Try the Iliad. The cardinal, he has 4 meals a day. What does he care? Ask him. He really ought to send you a spring lamb out of his flock, roasted whole. Yes, and a bottle. So what he's doing here is he's going to describe in great detail this imaginary feast. And the point of it is that they imagine it so well, it's almost like they're there. If you please, Richelieu, that's the cardinal. A little more of the red seal. Ah, thank you. And the salad, of course, Romaine. I'm as hungry as a wolf. And he gives him his cloak. Put on your sheep's clothing. Look how generous Cyrano is in giving of his energy and his imagination, but also in things that are very practical, like his helmet and his cloak. He's a good guy. Always the clever answer. Always the answer, yes. Let me die so, under some rosy golden sunset, saying a good thing for a good cause. By the sword, the point of honor, by the hand of one worthy to be my foeman, let me fall. Steel in my heart, and laughter on my lips. Very well, we're hungry. Bah! You think nothing of yourselves, of nothing but yourselves. So he calls out the old fifer, the ones that would play the little fifes, and which would be used on the battlefield for different reasons. And he says, here, Bertrandu, you were a shepherd once, your pipe now. Come, breathe, blow, play to these belly worshippers, the old airs of the South. And what Cyrano does here in the next page is he does this kind of song poem where he is describing in very in descriptive imagery their hometowns, the home countryside, and it's not going to make them laugh. In fact, it's going to make them cry and make them very homesick. But he does this for 2 reasons. He does it to, number 1, get their minds off their stomachs. And number 2, I think he does it to remind them of what is it they want to get back to, and why they should have determination in battle and courage and perseverance through these struggles, which he's going through as well. It's not like Cyrano is eating better than these guys. He's just got a different perspective of things. Airs with a smile in them, airs with a sigh in them, airs with the breeze and the blue of the sky in them, small, demure tunes whose every note is like a little sister, songs heard only in some long, silent voice, not quite forgotten, mountain melodies like thin smoke rising from brown cottages in the still noon, slowly. Quaint lullabies, whose very music has a southern tongue. And the old man is playing his fife. Now let the fife, that old dry warrior, dream, while over the stops your fingers dance a minuet of little birds. Let him dream beyond ebony and ivory. Let him remember he was once a reed out of the river, and recall the spirit of innocent, untroubled country days. And the fifer is playing this Provençal melody, so kind of like a country pastoral type melody. Listen, you Gascons! Now it is no more the shrill fife. It is the flute, through woodlands far away calling. No longer the hot battle cry, but the cool, quiet pipe our goatherds play. Listen, listen, the forest glens, the hills, the downs, the green sweetness of night on the Dordogne. Listen, you Gascons! It is all Gascoigne, which is where they're from. and every head is bowed, every eye cast down. There's a tear furtively brushed away with the back of a hand. And Carbone says, "You make them weep for homesickness, a hunger more noble than that hunger of the flesh. It is their hearts now that are starving." Yes, but you melt down their manhood. It's kind of saying you're making them weak. I need soldiers who are ready to fight. But Cyrano knows better, and he disagrees. You think so? Let them be. There is iron in their blood, not easily dissolved in tears. You need only, and he gestures to the drummer, who begins boom, 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 and all of the cadets jump up. What's that? Where is it? What? Like they're ready to fight. You see? Let Mars snore in his sleep once, and farewell, Venus. Sweet dreams, regrets, dear thoughts of home. All the fife lulls to rest, wakes at the drums. Aha, Monsieur de Guiche! They don't like him. De Guiche is not liked here on the battlefield. Oh, flattering murmur. He makes me weary, with his collar of lace over his corselet, like a ribbon tied round a sword, bandages for a boil on the back of his neck. A courtier always, the cardinal's nephew, nonetheless, a Gascon. A counterfeit? Never you trust that man, because we Gascons, look you, are all mad. This fellow is reasonable. Nothing more dangerous than a reasonable Gascon. He looks pale. Oh, he can be hungry too, like any other poor fellow, poor devil. But he wears so many jewels on that belt of his that his cramps glitter in the sun. Right, so his hunger cramps glitter in the sun. So they don't like De Guiche. They think that he thinks he's better off, that he's eating when they're not eating, that he's all worried about appearances and those kinds of things. That's not really the Gascon way. Is he to see us looking miserable? Quick, pipes, cards, dice. So they all begin to play these games. They don't want to look like they're struggling. They don't want to look like they're hungry in front of De Guiche. So they quickly put on their cloaks and they're playing their pipes. And Cyrano says, as for me, I read Descartes, philosopher. So he walks up and down reading the book there, and De Guiche enters looking pale and haggard. Actually, the truth is he's not doing as well as some people say. Lebray points it out, but all are absorbed in their games. A general air of contentment. De Guiche goes to Carbone. They look at each other kind of on the side there. Good morning. He looks yellow. He is all eyes. And he's looking at the cadets here. And what do we have here? Black looks? Yes, gentlemen. I am informed I am not popular. The hill nobility, barons of Béarn, the pomp and pride of Perigord, I learn they disapprove their colonel. Call him courtier, politician. They take it ill that I cover my steel with lace of Genoa. It is a great offense to be a Gascon and not to be a beggar. They don't acknowledge him. They just keep playing their games. They're smoking their pipes. Well, shall I have your captain punish you? No. And Carbone says, as to that, it would be impossible. Right? Because when you have nothing, how can you punish him? Oh? I am free. I pay my company. It is my own. I obey military orders. Oh. That will be quite enough. Then he turns back to the cadets. I can afford your little hates. My conduct under fire is well known. It was only yesterday I drove the Count de Bucquois from Bapaume. Pouring my men down like an avalanche, I myself led the charge. And Cyrano, who's off there, doesn't even look up from his book. And your white scarf? And De Guiche is surprised and gratified. He's trying to win over the cadets by telling about this, what he sees as this victorious battle story of his from the day before. So let's see how he describes it, and let's see how Cyrano interprets it. Oh, you heard that episode, yes. Rallying my men for the third time, I found myself carried among a crowd of fugitives into the enemy's lines. I was in danger of being shot or captured, but I thought quickly, took off and flung away the scarf that marked my military rank, and so, being inconspicuous, escaped among my own force, rallied them, returned again, and won the day. So, officers would wear certain things on their uniforms, and this still is the case today, where people have different medals and different colors and different things on their uniforms. Even going into battle at that time, they would have different things that would mark their rank. Now, anybody who knows about military strategy knows if you're able to take out the general, if you're able to take out the leader on the battlefield, that is a very smart strategic move, because if you take away your leader, you remove morale, you remove communication, right? You break up the unity of their attack. So in this battle that happened yesterday, De Guiche was caught up with other French and was behind the enemy line. So he took his scarf that marked his higher rank, and he threw it, kind of thinking like, oh, they're going to go for me if they know that I'm a high-ranking officer. So I want to be like a regular soldier, which he says was very, very smart. And he says he was able to, being inconspicuous, escaped among my own force, rallied them. So he was able to get back, kind of rally them, and return back to the Spanish, and they won the day. Well, the cadets, they hear this story. They don't even look like they're listening. They totally are listening, but they're not going to praise him. And as we're going to see from Cyrano, they don't think that his strategy was very noble and brave. The cadets do not appear to be listening. The cards and the dice boxes remain motionless. And De Guiche says, what do you say to that? Presence of mind, yes? Henry of Navarre, being outnumbered, never flung away his white plume. That white plume, that's going to be a super important symbol as we go through the rest of the story. It's like the symbol of your rank. It's the symbol of who you are. De Guiche says, my device was a success, however. Possibly. An officer does not lightly resign the privilege of being a target. Now, if I had been there, your courage and my own differ in this. When your scarf fell, I should have put it on. Ha! Boasting again. Boasting. Lend it to me tonight. I'll lead the first charge with your scarf over my shoulder. De Guiche says, Gasconade once more. You're safe making that offer, and you know it. My scarf lies on the riverbank between the lines, a spot swept by artillery, impossible to reach alive. And Cyrano says, he pulls the scarf from his pocket. Yes, here. Oh, total mic drop here. I want to make sure you appreciate this. He throws away the scarf on the battlefield, goes back, and rallies the troops, and then De Guiche wins the day. And then Cyrano says, well, if I were there. And De Guiche is saying, well, that's so easy to boast. What do you mean, if you were there? Number one, I didn't see you there. And number two, it's really easy to say if I could get that scarf. Because you know why? That scarf is sitting out in the middle of where the enemy is. And Cyrano's like, oh, you mean this scarf right here? Oh, meaning he risked his life. And you can just imagine, I imagine the kind of, like the cadets trying not to look like they're listening, but they're just like, like, see ya, in your face, all of that. Totally embarrassing and shaming De Guiche here. It's the way Cyrano is. When Cyrano did this, we don't know, but He did. Total Cyrano. So the cadets stifling their laughter. It's kind of like, when maybe you're sitting around the table, or you're in sort of a solemn occasion, or you're in class and you're trying not to laugh and you can't help it, which makes it worse. So De Guiche takes the scarf and he says, "Oh, thank you. That bit of white is what I need to make a signal. I was hesitating. You have decided me." What in the world is he talking about? So he goes up to the parapet, he climbs on it, and he waves the scarf around like this. And everyone's like, "What's he doing? What?" And the guard on the parapet says, "There's a man down there running away." And De Guiche comes back down. "Yes, a Spaniard. Very useful as a spy to both sides. He informs the enemy as I instruct him. By his influence, I can arrange their dispositions." Traitor! A traitor, yes, but useful. We were saying? Oh, yes. Here is a bit of news for you. Last night we had hopes of reprovisioning the army. Under cover of the dark, the marshal moved to Dorlan. Our supplies are there. He may reach them. But to return safely, he needs a large force, at least half our entire strength. At present, we have here merely a skeleton. Unfortunately, the Spaniards do not know that. Oh yes, they know. They will attack. Ah. From that spy of mine, I learned of their intention. His report will determine the point of their advance. The fellow asked me what to say. I told him, "Go out between the lines, watch for my signal. Where you see that, let them attack there." So let's kind of explain what's going on here. He says earlier on page 163, the marshal moved to Dorlan and our supplies are there. He may reach them, but to return safely, he needs a large force. So the point is, in order to get this other army group from the supplies there, they need less resistance from the Spanish. So De Guiche is working with this Spanish spy to tell the Spanish to attack our guys, the cadets of Gascogne, which will kind of make it easier for the supply group to get to where they need to go. So basically remove the Spanish obstacle by attacking them. He's basically just set up the cadets of Gascogne as a target, as patsies, and people are none too happy about that. I mean, if you look at it just strategically, if you're removing the human element of it, the emotional side of it, it's actually a very wise move. You're trying to get these supplies to benefit more French soldiers, but of course we're following these characters, and so we're more emotionally invested in them. Bottom of 163, Carbone says, "Well, gentlemen," and they all rise, the noise of sword belts and breastplates being buckled on. De Guiche says, 164, "You may perhaps have an hour." "Oh, an hour!" And they all sit down and resume their games. So like, oh, we got plenty of time to finish our games before we go and die. "The great thing is to gain time. Any moment the marshal may return." "And to gain time?" "You will all be so kind as to lay down your lives." "Ah, your revenge?" "I make no great pretense of loving you. But since you gentlemen esteem yourselves invincible, the bravest of the brave, and all that, why need we be personal? I serve the king in choosing as I choose. Sir, permit me to offer all our thanks. You love to fight 100 against 1. Here is your opportunity. Like, they are going to be seriously outnumbered. This is like a suicide mission. My friends, we shall add now to our old Gascon arms with their 6 chevrons, blue and gold, a 7th, blood red. And De Guiche talks to Carbone upstage. He's giving orders. The defense is arranged. And Cyrano goes to Christian, who has been awake with the others. And he's just been sitting in the corner, folding with his folded arms. Christian. Roxanne. Yes. I should like to say farewell to her with my whole heart, written for her to keep. I thought of that. And he takes a letter from his jacket. I have written your farewell. Show me. You wish to read it? Of course. And he takes the letter and he begins to read, and he looks up suddenly. What? What is it? Look, this little circle. And Cyrano takes the letter back and he looks at it. Circle? Yes, a tear. So it is. Well, a poet, while he writes, is like a lover in his lady's arms, believing his imagination. All seems true, you understand. There's half the charm of writing. Now, this letter, as you see, I've made so pathetic that I wept while I was writing it. You wept? Why, yes, because it is a little thing to die, but not to see her. That is terrible. And I shall never, we shall never, you will never, give me that. And he snatches the letter back as we hear a voice of a century talking about someone approaching. And that's where we're going to stop. And this next section, it's a very unlikely meeting there on the battlefield, but it's necessary for the plot. So we stopped in the middle of 166. You should be ready to go with your Act 3 questions. And we're going to finish Act 4 together on Thursday the 5th. Have a great Thanksgiving and a great week. See you later.